Hi, this is Erica Hall, and this is my presentation on Folksonomies for LAS 643 metadata. So the first thing to discuss is what is folksonomy? And the answer is that it's a system of classification, much like Library of Congress subject headings or any other classification system, that's used to sort information into categories. And the difference that is in Folksonomy is that it's done by content creators, end users, and really anyone who would like to get involved in Folksonomies. So they're very collaborative. And this term was coined by Thomas van der Waal in, I think, 2005 by combining the terms folk and taxonomy. And taxonomy is what we think of when we think of the more traditional terms of classification. In Folksonomies, tagging is what we use to describe when people assign a name or an image to an object. They're non-hierarchical, which means they're flat. They're very informally chosen, which means that anyone can use any words or image that they want to describe an object. It's just up to the person who does it. And so, which can be either the creator or the user. And this allows for a lot of metadata to be created on an object, which is kind of a good thing because that facilitates searching. Tags are very different from more traditional means of classification, such as LC subject headings. And the first place to start with is who creates them. Tags are assigned by users or creators, or like I said, really anyone, whereas Library of Congress subject headings are assigned by trained librarians who are very familiar with the system and very familiar with the vocabulary. Tags are very informal, again, because they're assigned by anyone. Library of Congress subject headings have a formal system in place for describing an object. Tags, there's no controlled vocabulary, which means anybody can use whatever phrase or object they want to, whereas Library of Congress subject headings have a controlled vocabulary. And tags are flat, which means there is no hierarchy, versus LC subject headings where there is a hierarchy. There are several pros and cons associated with Folksonomies. One of the largest pros of Folksonomies is they're very inclusive. The fact that anyone and everyone can participate in tagging an object lowers the barrier between academia and the general user. And this also means that Folksonomies are very easily adaptable and able to quickly change to suit the culture of the time. And they also enhance traditional searching. So researchers found that when a user is browsing on a vague topic and trying to search vaguely but then end up with a more specific idea, Folksonomies really do enhance that browsing experience. There are several cons also, though, and the main one is lack of precision. And this, again, comes from the very nature of that anybody can use anything to describe something. One of the examples of lack of precision is in synonyms and homonyms. So I may use the word curtain to describe the fabric that hangs from a curtain rod. Somebody else may call that a window treatment, and a search for one wouldn't necessarily bring up results for the other one, and vice versa. And another problem is homonyms. So if I wanted to search for pictures of a riverbank and I just search the word bank, I might also come up with lots of content that has to do with the places that exchange money. So those are some issues. Another issue is singular versus plural. Things that are tagged as plural might not turn up results for things that are singular. And another con is language. And it's just a fact that tags won't necessarily translate into other languages very well. So there's not a lot of interoperability as far as language is concerned. And again, the lack of precision means that searching for specific concepts does not work as well in Folksonomies. But like I said, browsing for vague topics works really well. Browsing for a specific concept, not so much. And there's been a lot of research about incorporating folksonomies into libraries and library catalogs. And some research that I've found talks about mapping tags to Library of Congress subject headings, which I thought was a very interesting concept. One article that I found, they mapped 2/3 of all tags to Library of Congress subject headings as an exact match, and they found that 10% more 10% more tags had very similar matches in Library of Congress subject headings, which really is pretty good. And what incorporating folksonomies into library catalogs does, it allows interest communities to form among users, and it allows users to participate more in describing objects, which in the end will facilitate searching because you're letting users describe how they would search for something, which will return fewer zero-hit searches. But I should mention that the overwhelming consensus is that folksonomies should not replace traditional means. Instead, they will enhance the experience of users. And like I said, they'll just generally make searching a more pleasant experience for users. And that is all I have. Thank you for listening.